Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And I'm back with a brand new episode of What If Naruto Was Mahoraga Reincarnation. Remember to get this one too. 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new series over on Anime King of What If Naruto Was Resurrected by his followers. And enjoy that guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, I indeed have 3 channels that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. I'll be leaving a link in the description for the other channels, so go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. So without further ado or wasting more time, how about we jump right into this? Let's begin now guys. So the last part that we left off, Orochimaru, because of his circumstances, was unable to best Naruto. In fact, Naruto humiliated the Sannin on a level that pissed off the Sannin so bad that he sent Kabuto to eliminate him, knowing that the boy might be a threat when he came to the Kazekage's son, and he needed that boy to destroy as much of Konoha as possible, so he had to get rid of the Uzumaki. However, the explosion failed to kill Naruto. If anything, it just made him more pissed off. As for Naruto training, he didn't want to sign the Toad summoning contract, despite Jiraiya protests, as Naruto feel like it wasn't strong enough, as the Sannin was trying to convince him. But when the day came, Naruto's opponent was Yugito. As he watched the other matches took place, the teammates that she carried here were immensely strong, stronger than Naruto expected. As for her, he told her not to hold back. His fighting spirit was actually affecting her, as she wanted to tussle with him as well. Naruto was happy about that, as the both of them made their way down there. A brutal fight engaged between the two, as neither of them were holding back that much. However, there was still something that they were keeping from one another. Their clash was vigorous and destructive, as they were destroying the arena. People were shocked by the amount of power that Jennings could output. That is when she pulled out the ace in the hole. She had the tail beast power. Granted, the Two Tails was much weaker than it originally would be because she was wielding a smaller portion of that power. Despite being up against a tail beast, despite it having a small percentage of its power that made it even weaker than the One Tails, Naruto proved to be the superior one in the fight, growing and learning and adapting from everything that he was being hit with. Naruto overcome her with a finishing move that leveled the entire place a foot down. She was shocked and confused. She couldn't understand it. How was he possibly able to best her? It wasn't supposed to be possible. However, at the end of the battle, Naruto showed respect for her, something that he rarely gave other people. It just showed that he actually respected her, and he would like to fight her again in the coming future. She was also looking forward to that as well, finding the battle between them enjoyable despite the fact that she lost. Sasuke arrived soon after that, as it was his turn to make his way down there to face off against Gaara. Sasuke ended up pulling out the Chidori that injured Gaara. The problem was the moment he did so, things became really bad, as Gaara started to transform, going batshit crazy with the sole intention of eliminating Naruto. The match got even more hectic as Gaara released a blood-curdling scream, and with that scream the invasion began. Naruto was pissed. How dare they try to invade his home? These people believing that they could step to his home without repercussions. Well, he was going to show them that they made a bad, horrible mistake. With that, Naruto descended upon the crowd. However, the main foe was heading out. Naruto chased after him, only to be stopped by Gurren and her team. Gurren had selected a member each. Orochimaru wanted Gurren to kill Naruto, given the fact that Kabuto failed. Gurren and her team attacked Naruto first. The four of them went at Naruto at once. However, they too underestimated him as Naruto was able to brutalize them in the most horrific and horrible way possible. Even Gozu, the strongest member on the team, tried to hold back Naruto's strength, which he soon found out was next to impossible as Naruto ripped his arms off before demolishing the other two. Renji tried to take Naruto on, but Naruto was just getting more and more powerful as he started to wipe out the entire battlefield, causing massive destruction and chaos. That is when Gurren realized and remembered what Orochimaru had told her. A prolonged battle with this boy would only lead to their death, and he told her if things got too bad she should sacrifice the others. She was the only one a part of the group that was important to him. So she sacrificed Renji and ran away, as Naruto was far too powerful for any of them to take on. With that said and done, Naruto made his way. Sasuke, who was about to be killed by Gaara, until Gaara got a kick so hard that it shattered his face. Luckily he had the tail beast, otherwise his face would be a mess right now. The problem was once Gaara fell asleep, the massive beast emerged. Upon seeing the one-tails, Naruto's blood started to boil. The people of the village started to worry as they saw the monstrosity making its way towards them, but Naruto's excitement started to go into overdrive. He seemed so happy, so overjoyed. His eyes then changed to black, as the pinwheel that was in his eyes appeared on top of his head like a spectral. As Naruto started to force more power out as his body started to take on great changes. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play, check it out for yourself. So we'll begin this new episode. Shikaku was delighted, finally being free. That was until Shikaku felt the power that was brewing down there. What is that? He said, looking down as something moved across the foliage with such speed. It slammed into Shikaku with a violent amount of force. The tail beast, the literal monstrosity of sand, the gigantic raccoon, was thrown. Whatever hit it was so powerful that it was able to throw it back. Shikaku went through at least thousands of trees, squashing them as he moved, tearing out a new section in the forest, causing so much damage and chaos. The great beast fell on its back. The surprise was there, as Shikaku felt pain. He was trying to understand what hit him. Physical attacks should not be this painful for Shikaku given how his body was formed. He looked up and saw the thing descending upon him. His guts swelled to massive levels before he slammed his hand on his stomach, releasing a violent turbulence of wind and sand. Luckily, Naruto crossed his arms in mid-air, covering his face. The attack ripped into him, some of the sand even tearing into his skin. However, it shows that his durability had gotten extremely powerful, given that the sand bullets that fire from Shikaku were not going through or going that deep. However, the wheel on Naruto's head started to turn as he was being bombarded within the sandstorm. As Naruto kept on trying to force himself down, but the sandstorm was releasing more and more, until Shikaku had to stop. The amount of pressure that Naruto had come down with, the descending force, The moment Shikaku stopped, Naruto slammed down so hard on the beast. Shikaku actually howled out in pain, once again showing that whatever Naruto was doing wasn't normal. A tail beast like Shikaku should not receive pain like this from these physical attacks. However, perhaps it was just the underestimation of Naruto and his smaller stature. Naruto ran across Shikaku's stomach, heading straight for the beast's face. Naruto's changes were rather open. The wheel was currently situated above his head, not touching anything, simply floating there. As for his hair, his blonde hair turned completely white. There seemed to be some kind of chain or medallion, moving from one collarbone to another. His shirt had been completely ripped off, showing his rather muscular physique. He even seemed to have gotten bigger. As Naruto dashed, Shikaku tried to manipulate his body to try to trap Naruto, but the more Naruto ran, the more the pinwheel turned on his head, allowing Naruto to bypass Shikaku's body, trying to sink and suck him inside. Having enough of this, Shikaku curled upon himself and rolled, throwing Naruto off. The moment Naruto crashed, Shikaku turned and dropped his tail at least 5 times in the ground, causing so much destruction. Naruto had faced off against the two tails, but the two tails was actually weaker than the one tail. Not in an actual sense, but Yugito could only use a fraction of the two tails' power. Her body could not handle it all, therefore, the two tails that Naruto fought was weaker than this one tails that Naruto was fighting, because the one tail was using all power at its disposal. So, Yugito was not going all out because she didn't have full access to that power. However, it was still a win on Naruto's side. She just needed more training. However, the one tail was a resentful beast. It despised humankind after all the humans had done to it. So the moment it dropped Naruto, it did not hesitate to block its hand together and release violent wind and sand bullets, causing mayhem and destruction, reducing a quarter of the forest to nothing but an empty landscape. Confident that the foe had been dealt with, Shikaku turned and started to head towards the village. As he was about to cause destruction to all of the people there, that was until Shikaku felt something. As he turned, his mighty giant tail was sliced off. Shikaku howled out in rage and pain. His tail was then lifted off the ground before thrown and slammed into his own face, before it dissolved into sand. Naruto came rocketing through that sand, both of his feet slamming in Shikaku's chest. The reason why he was using his feet was because his hands were broken in like 10 different places as they healed. The beast was once again knocked back, showing the ridiculous amount of strength that Naruto had pulled out. Never before has his hair changed color when he was fighting, to show that his body was getting stronger and stronger. However, the problem Shikaku made was, he allowed Naruto to adapt. The wheel had made a full turn on Naruto's head. All of this sand, all of this wind. The next time Shikaku raised his hand, shooting his sand forward as it wrapped around Naruto, trying to condense and reduce him to atoms. Naruto raised his blade and slashed outwards, destroying the sand like it was nothing. He looked up at the mighty giant in front of him, despite the odds seemingly against him. He smiled. "I understand it now," he said. He kicked off the ground at such a speed. Shikaku tried to block him by throwing sand balls, but Naruto destroyed all of them. Naruto pulled the blade out as he held it like a spear, funneling his chakra into it. However, it wasn't just his normal chakra alone. It started to become insanely cold. Naruto turned and dodged and weaved and flipped before he threw it. It slammed into Shikaku's chest. Shikaku looked down as the thing started to freeze him. Naruto dashed forward and punched his own blade right into Shikaku. allowing it to freeze a large section of the sand. Pushing with all of his might, Naruto slammed his fist into the ice, completely shattering it, as the mighty one-tailed beast broke in half. As Shikaku was falling though, he swung his hand. Given the size of it, the moment it made contact with Naruto, he was launched back to the area where Sasuke originally was. Sasuke, who was just getting on his feet. Naruto crashed through at least several trees before lying there unmoving. Rage was not the word to define what Shikaku was feeling right now. It was much, much more. It was humiliating to be treated like this by a child. Shikaku started to gather his power, using one of his most dangerous and deadly technique. Sasuke jumped down and made his way towards Naruto, who pulled his head out of the ground, snapping his shoulder back into place. As the both of them looked forward when they felt it, seeing the trees blowing rather violently, the monstrous gathering of energy could be witnessed by the both of them. What the hell is that? Sasuke questioned, as he looked towards a massive ball of death. My greatest challenge so far, said Naruto. You idiot, the Uchiha said. There's no way that you can stop that. Well, considering that the alternative is death, which one do you prefer? Sasuke frowned, but he had nothing to say about that. Meanwhile, within the village, Orochimaru chuckled as Hiruzen was able to see while taking on the first and the second Hokage. Orochimaru decided to use it as an opportunity to weaken Hiruzen's mental fortitude. Don't you worry, the both of us will still be standing after that blast. For Konoha though, I am not so sure, Orochimaru said with a chuckle. Hiruzen was about to say something until they all felt it. What is this? The Sannin said. Despite luck in hand-to-hand combat with the two former Hokages, Hiruzen graced his features with a smile as he laughed slightly, making the Sannin furious. What is so funny in a time like this? You've underestimated Konoha, and you've underestimated the will of fire. I can safely stay here and fight to defeat you because I know that technique will be stopped because Naruto is out there. I'm sure that you feel that as well. You're placing your faith and your hopes in the hands of a stupid child. You must have gone senile. Well, that stupid child had you running for the hills. That insult hurted Orochimaru's pride even more. His rage got the better of him as he lashed out, trying to cut Hiruzen down with the efforts of the first and second. You have to do something. It was Baki that shouted over the other side. We will handle these, he said, as the snakes were trying to break through. However, Jiraiya cursed. He wouldn't make it on time. That is when they all felt it. What the hell is this now, said Baki, fearing the worst. Was this because of that ball of death? However, Jiraiya knew what it was, as he took off just in case. Hold on, kid, he said. Meanwhile, the one-tailed, still severed on the ground, released a massive Biju bomb. As the thing traveled, ripping through the ground as it moved, Naruto, who had called out even more of his own power, ran. Each step that he took crushed the ground. When he finally reached, Naruto stepped so hard that the entire thing caved in as he jumped. The blade on his hand was glowing as Naruto slammed it forward. There was a struggle as Naruto's blade was clashing against the Biju bomb, the thing pushing him back. The pinwheel on Naruto's head was turning and turning and turning, but Naruto was being pushed back. The momentum, the force of his jump, he was being cancelled out. Damn it, damn it, damn it, he shouted. Come on, he screamed. He needed more power. He needed more power. as he dig deeper. His chakra was fueling every ounce of his body. The blade coming out of his wrist started to glow even brighter. And none of this was the power of the fox. In that moment, the Nine-Tailed gained a newfound of respect for Naruto. The boy could use his power, but instead, he stuck true to his words despite the danger and the fear of death. Naruto released a primal scream that was drowned out by the two clashing forces. In that moment, Naruto released all the power that he had contained in that blade. And that triggered the explosives of the Tail Beast bomb. The only reason why Sasuke, Temari, and Kankuro did not met their death was because the power that Naruto released was able to kind of ward off majority of the blasts. The path that Naruto was completely safe, but as for the remainder, when the Tail Beast bomb exploded and Naruto force also exploded out, Naruto was swallowed. His body was in the dead center as it was being ripped apart. However, the more it was ripped, the more it was torn, and it seems like he was going to be erased to nothing. The pinwheel on Naruto's head made a full turn as the explosion continued and reduced everything around, except for that part that Naruto power seemed to contain. While the three of them were thrown like they were garbage, at least they survived. The village felt the heat and backlash. So powerful as many was thrown despite it not being even close to them. It was chaotic and violent. By the time the smoke and dust cleared, there was no trees right there. It was simply a barren, empty landscape. The two forces had completely eviscerated and destroyed every single fraction and fragment of everything that was once there. The place was a barren, empty mess. Sasuke pushed the trees and twigs off himself as he got to his feet, looking around, as one of his hearing was not working so well. Perhaps it was because of the loud explosion as he hit his own ears to get it to focus. He looked around. What the hell, he said, as he was unable to fathom the mere power that a single beast like that could contain. To think that he was believing that he would defeat Gaara even at his fullest, but if he had fought this beast, he wouldn't have stand a chance. If Naruto hadn't done what he did, they would have all wait. Naruto. Sasuke looked around, despite him always clashing with the blonde. Despite the both of them bickering so much, it was what helped the both of them got stronger. Their rival, well, at least for Sasuke, it pushed him to know that one day he will overcome Naruto by training and more and more and more. But now, there is no possible way that he could have survived that explosion. Absolutely none. As Sasuke started to make his way, he realized the problem. Shikaku was reforming himself, using his lower half to pull himself back together. That is when he saw something. It was Naruto's strange wheel that he had on top of his head. It was lying on the ground. Sasuke then noticed a strange block of ice beside it. As he reached out, that is when he saw inside of it was a skull with flesh attached to it. Suddenly, an eyeball regrew inside of said skull, causing the Uchiha to pull back. As the left hand burst out of the ice then cracked as the deformed, mutilated corpse of Naruto rose. No, it wasn't a corpse. Sasuke watched as Naruto's body suddenly pulled itself back together, healing at an unnatural rate. How the hell are you alive? Sasuke said. Naruto started to laugh, like he's gone crazy. I actually pulled it off. I was seconds away from dying. The technique was just too much for me to handle. The explosion would have completely erased me. So I converted my chakra inside. What? Yes. I was able to convert my chakra on the inside without releasing it at all. I simply allow it to freeze myself over, just like what I did to Zabuza when I first got this ability. I'm surprised that it was able to hold up. However, I suppose me using that great amount of power to clash with that bomb was the only reason why the ice still remained. Majority of it got destroyed, as you can see. I was nothing more but than a head. Well, a fleshless head and an arm a moment ago. Naruto said. That still doesn't explain it, Sasuke said. How can one recover from a state like that? Guess I'm just special, said Naruto. It's not over yet, Sasuke said, look. However, Naruto smiled as he looked down at his hands. There were black veins running through his pale skin. The smile that was on Naruto's face was electric. It seems my body has done it once again. Done what? Adapt. Sasuke was confused by that, but he was more so worried about the massive beast that was until Naruto hold his hand out and fire the blade. He fired 3 of them, as they seemed to recover when he fired. However, the next moment, Shikaku's screams almost reached the heavens as the blades exploded. However, the same explosion from earlier was so similar to what Naruto did. What was that? Sasuke asked, as Naruto looked down towards his hand. When he faced Haku, his pinwheel eyes was able to adapt to the cold, but his chakra on the other hand was able to adapt to the Kekkei Genkai, allowing him to gain the ability of ice manipulation. Normally, Naruto could use his chakra in ways of an explosive radius, but it was still limited because of the amount that he could use and the way he could use it in his blade. However, clashing against the one-tail tail beast bomb, the moment his pinwheel had turned, his chakra did the same thing that it did with Haku. It adapted by taking what it had to face off against to survive. It took it and simply replicated the same effects of the tail beast chakra. It fully adapted to the tail beast chakra and, just like what it did with Haku, it understood it. As Naruto looked down towards his hand, he started to focus as slowly a tiny black ball started to gather in his palm. The smile on Naruto's face as it dissipated. He cursed as he dropped down to his knees, feeling so exhausted right now. He used up too much of his power. He looked over to Sasuke. I don't have the amount of chakra to destroy that thing right now, so we're gonna have to wait that little shit up. What? Sasuke said. The only way to stop the tail beast is by waking that boy up. The power will return back inside of him. How do you know that? Sasuke said. Personal understanding, said Naruto. My chakra will take some time to recover, and it's not enough time that I'll need to be able to stop that thing. So I guess I'll have to do this the old-fashioned way. Before Sasuke could say anything else, Naruto ran off. Shikaku got back up as Naruto jumped and landed on him and ran. Shikaku-san tried to capture Naruto as Naruto divert and move, dodging and flipping and dipping. He created a blade and slashed through it, already adapting to the sand a long time ago. He simply could not send any power through it, as he moved and flipped and dodged and weave. Shikaku tried to reach Naruto as he brought his arm around and squashed him. However, Naruto had already jumped through his finger by bursting clean through it. Naruto ran and jumped. However, Shikaku-san almost moved like they were webs of spider and wrapped around Naruto as they tried to pull him back. No, you don't, said Naruto. He slammed his skull into Gaara's, immediately waking Gaara up. Shikaku screamed in rage as he was being pulled back. Both boys came crashing on the ground. Naruto took breaths on the ground before pulling himself up. Gaara, on the other hand, was terrified. No, no, stay away, he said. He tried to use his sand, but Naruto simply knocked it away. That won't work, he said as he picked Gaara up by the throat. He extended his blade and raised his hand, about to end Gaara's life before he stopped. What the hell is this? Said Naruto. Where was that bravado that you had when you were fighting Sasuke? That maniatic, crazy look in your eyes. But look at you now. Nothing but a weak embarrassment of the former person that you once were. Naruto said, dropping Gaara down to the ground. You know, you and I are a lot alike. Granted that, you gave me something I never thought I needed today by trying to kill me with your tailed beast. However, you have nothing going for you, said Naruto. Strange enough, I was just like that. Empty and hollow. Only focusing on one thing and one thing only. And then these stupid people came in my life. And as much as I hate to even think about it, I see some of them as friends. As annoying as some of them are. And you try to kill them, so in the end, I am going to kill you same way. I just wanted you to know that if you do come back in another life, being alone will just drive you insane. Just like you are right now. Relying on that beast power every time you need it. Calling it mother. You naive boy. Gaara glared at Naruto. You know nothing, he said. I've always been alone. And that is what made me strong. Perhaps that can make you strong. But it can also make you naive and stupid as well. Given what you are right now. And the last time I checked, you weren't so alone when those siblings tried to save your life. But none of that really matters because you're going to die here, said Naruto. He extended his blade as Naruto blocked the fan that tried to hit him over the head. She flipped over him. A puppet burst out of the ground. Naruto crushed it with his hand. Just because I'm low on chakra doesn't mean that I'm weak, Naruto said. However, Temari, who had flipped over Naruto's head, grabbed Gaara and jumped away. They were ready to fight as Naruto stood there. Perhaps they didn't want to kill him. Maybe it's because they were similar. More than most people that he came across. Not to mention his earlier fight with that Jinchuriki as well. She was also similar to him. The Sannin was wrapped up somewhere in this, and Naruto knew that. He wasn't quite aware exactly what was going on, but well, Konoha will have to deal with that future problem. And if they do came to fight them again, he would simply win. And next time he would be strong enough to destroy that attack with his bare hands. Take him and go, said Naruto. I decided to spare your life today. With that, he started to walk away. They were confused, but they would not look a gift horse in the mouth as they took Gaara and moved. Gaara was insanely silent until he spoke. He apologized to them. They were shocked beyond their wildest imagination. He apologized. So much so that it took them a minute to actually respond to anything that he said. It's okay, Kankuro said. Yeah, we understand, Temari said, finding it awkward and strange to acknowledge that apology that she never thought they would ever receive. Meanwhile, as Naruto was heading back, Sasuke was there. Naruto cricked his neck. Come on, it's time we finish this. I have a snake to kill. Time skip. Unfortunately though, Orochimaru got away. In the process, Naruto had wiped out 5 platoons of sound shinobis. He eradicated them. He was pissed. At the moment, Naruto stood at the grave of Hiruzen Sarutobi. The funeral happened some time ago. Hours, not days. There wasn't any people left here. It's been over 23 hours, not a full day yet. Naruto couldn't believe it. He didn't really show or say anything when he came to the funeral. But now one-on-one, he respected the Hokage despite everything. Their little argument about Naruto knowing things that, well, he shouldn't, and him being rude and all of that. He respected the man because of his strength. Naruto was disappointed though as he kicked the tombstone. How could you let him best you? As Naruto did not know the inner details of the battle, all he knew was Orochimaru was alive and Hiruzen was dead. You were given the name the god of shinobi just like the first Hokage, and yet you let that damn reptile defeat you. Tch, you disappoint me, said Naruto, as he was upset. He didn't like to lose people. He didn't really have that much people in his life, given how he was raised, how he grew up, so he didn't like to lose people. It didn't matter how small their connection might be. That was something that Naruto did not really publicize, but yes, it was there. Don't you worry, old man, he said as he slapped his hand down on the tombstone. I'll find him. And this time around, I'll rip him limb from limb with my bare hands. And that's a promise, Naruto said. Time skip. Finally, kid. I've been looking for you, said Jiraiya. Naruto turned and faced the man. And I've been looking for you. Tell me, do you have any information on where Orochimaru is located? Jiraiya looked towards Naruto, and why would you want to know that? Because I'm gonna kill him, said Naruto. I made Hiruzen a promise that I will not let his death go unjust. So use your little spy network, whatever, and find him, so I can kill him. Hold your horses there, kid. You're not the only one that wants to make Orochimaru suffer for what he did. However, right now the village needs us. Needs us how, said Naruto. Time skip. How long are we supposed to look for this woman? Naruto said. I want to find Orochimaru. First of all, there is no one that's gonna let you out in the elemental nation by yourself to find Orochimaru. And if anyone's gonna find him, it's gonna be me, to put an end to this once and for all. You've done good work on that for the past couple of years. What? Said Jiraiya. You heard what I said Naruto. I'm not gonna repeat myself. Jiraiya took a deep calming breath. Look, kid, he said. I know that you're upset. So lashing out at you right now would not be the right thing to do. Of course I'm upset. And I'm mad as well, said Naruto. The fact that he came to the village and killed the goddamn Hokage and left like it's just okay. What must the other nations think of us? And that slippery, slimy bastard is out there living his life like it's absolutely nothing. If I had killed him in the forest of death, none of this would have happened. That's not your fault. He's a Sanin like myself. As strong as you are and as strong as you get while you're fighting, your power wouldn't have reached anywhere near to killing someone like him. Well, that was then, but this is now, said Naruto. And when I get my hands on him, I'm gonna tear him apart. If that is what you desire, you're gonna have to be a lot stronger than what you are right now. I was planning on teaching you something, Jiraiya said. I figured that this is a good time to do that. Do what? Said Naruto. The both of them found their way to a tree as the Sanin proceeded to demonstrate. What the hell is that? Said Naruto. This is a Rasengan, a technique that was created by the 4th Hokage. The moment he said that, Naruto narrowed his eyes, but Jiraiya did not notice. The Sanin then slammed the Rasengan into the tree. As Naruto looked at the hole, disappointing, he said. What? That barely did anything to a tree bark. I would need something much more stronger than that. Besides, I have techniques that are vastly more powerful than that. I did a demonstration for you. The technique can go far beyond that, said Jiraiya, and besides, it's incomplete. It needs an element to tie it off. Show it to me again, said Naruto. Jiraiya held his hand out and performed the technique. As Naruto was looking at it, an idea came to mind. Come on, Let's find this woman. Hey wait, there are steps into learning the Rasengan. I don't need them, said Naruto. I have an idea for something much more powerful. What is that, Jiraiya said. Just wait and see. It will take me a while, said Naruto. Naruto sighed as the pervert ran off when he came across a girl. He shook his head in disappointment. Naruto went to the room as Jiraiya had booked the hotel for the night. He was going to put his stuff down before he head out to train. After all, seeing the Rasengan demonstrate, he had a lot to do now. However, not long before he stepped inside, there was a knock. You get turned down already, you pervert, said Naruto. However, standing there were two other people. Who the hell are you, said Naruto. Wait, why do you look like Sasuke? Naruto said, taking in the face of the individual in front of him. It can't be Sasuke. It can't be some alteration future crap. So that means it was Itachi Uchiha, the one that Sasuke wanted to kill. Naruto never paid much attention to anything regarding the Uchiha clan. He had asked Kakashi about it after one of their missions, to truly know what was going on. So this is the brat, huh? He doesn't look like much, although he can run away. Maybe I should cut off his legs. Huh, you say that, like I'll allow you to do it, fish face, said Naruto, stepping out of the room. I don't know what the hell you two want, but if it's me you're after, that's a real idiotic idea. Kisame laughed. Well, the kid got some snap back to him. But let's see if he can back up those words. Kisame, Itachi said. Remember, yeah, I won't kill the brat, he said, as he flashed towards Naruto, raising his blade. Kisame severely underestimated Naruto. The next thing he knew, he was in the wall. The short man was confused. What the hell? As he looked over at Samehata, he looked up as he rolled away, as Naruto kicked through the solid stone wall like it was nothing. You spoke like you were something impressive, why did you move? You should have tanked my hit, said Naruto. Kisame rose up. I guess you're not just a little pipsqueak after all. It looks like this is going to be fun. Naruto saw Sasuke running down the hall before Kisame swung his blade. The thing bursted out of its ribbons, ripping out of its bandages as it sent him through the wall. Naruto crashed outside as he bounced on the ground. Kisame jumped as he came down. However, this time Naruto jumped upwards and blocked it with his own. He and Kisame started to clash. The shark man was actually having fun. I never thought I would come across a brat that can actually put up a fight. I'm no ordinary brat, fish face, said Naruto as they jumped at each other, clashing their weapons together. The more they clashed, the more that Naruto pinwheel in his eyes started to spin. Kisame took notice of that when they clashed close by. He kicked Naruto away, but Naruto flipped over his leg and delivered a brutal kick that snapped his head to the side. What the hell? Kisame said, shocked that the kid broke his guard. He swung Samehata around. Samehata was thirsty, hungry. It ripped out of its bandages, extending that long tongue. It reached after Naruto to seem to gobble him up. However, Naruto flipped over the blade before slamming his down on it, causing a violent shockwave. The both of them kick off from one another as they stop, before they ran straight ahead and jump, swinging their weapons together. Once again, they caused another shockwave at the power that was emitted from them. Kisame was actually diving into his reserve, so much so that his chakra started to become visible. The shark man was excited. This kid was no ordinary brat, as Naruto was adapting to his moves. Reading them, Kisame had to think on the fly. They clashed once more, and once again, Naruto's superior power proved to be something even shocking for the Akatsuki member when he sent Kisame through a goddamn house, before he crashed into a slab of stone before breaking through it and creating a trench. Naruto came from the sky as Kisame moved. When Naruto touched the ground, it exploded in a shower of debris and destruction. He landed on his feet and turned and swing. However, Kisame came up and shredded Naruto from his left side to his right, ripping his shirt to ribbons. Kisame kicked Naruto in the face. Surprisingly though, as Naruto's head was thrown back, his body remained where it was. Not strong enough, Naruto said. As he jumped at Kisame and tackled him, he crashed him through several things. He grabbed the short man and swung him before sending him into the air. Kisame crossed his arms as Naruto's heel crashed against him. He plummeted into the earth. Samehata was racing back towards him as Naruto had knocked his blade away. Kisame picked himself out of the dust as his clothing was torn up, but Kisame was fine. Naruto himself was surprised. He has gotten so much more stronger since fighting Gaara. He was amazed by his own strength. Naruto looked around and released a sigh. He couldn't afford to go all out here, because what he wanted to do would cause the complete destruction of this entire place, and thousands of innocent people would die. While he did not care for these people, he wasn't a monster about to nuke the entire place. He could save that for later, but for now, Naruto pulled his blade out as he twirled it, like he was holding a spear. Kisame was bummed out, knowing that Kakazu would be all up in his business for ruining another cloak, just because they caused money. That was all that guy ever thought about. Money this, money that. What should be entertaining was the thirst and the hunger for a battle. Kisame had to say he was caught off guard. This kid's strength was close to his own. There was no doubt about that. Tanking his blows and throwing back blows. This kid was ridiculously strong physical-wise. He could only imagine the kind of monster he would become in the future. Kisame was actually tempted to leave Naruto, allowing him to escape so that he could come after him in the future and fight him at his strongest. However, he had to do what his mission was entailed to do. He decided to push even more, showing a fraction of his power that he had yet to show. Naruto felt it, the depths of Kisame chakra. Most would be afraid to even go up against a monster like this, but all Kisame got back in return was a vicious grin as Naruto started to let loose as well. The both of them were shaking the surrounding area with their chakra as they were about to dive at each other until shurikens were thrown at Naruto, as Naruto knocked them away with his spear. Landing beside Kisame was Itachi. Jiraiya of the Sannin was standing there now, on the roof as he looked down. "You okay, kid?" he asked. "I'm fine. Stay out of this," said Naruto. However, Naruto saw that Kisame looked bummed out. "I guess we'll have to see each other another time, kid. I hope by then that you're stronger, so I can fight you at your best." "Did I tell you that you're leaving?" said Naruto as he threw the javelin. However, Kisame immediately surrounded both of them with water before it exploded outwards. The javelin stuck into the ground as Naruto walked over towards it. "Damn it," he said, as he crushed it into dust in his hand as a new blade extended before he retracted. Jiraiya jumped down. "Why did you interrupt?" Naruto said. "If you hadn't noticed, you were going up against an S-rank criminal. I understand that you were able to defeat the One-Tails, even stop that deadly tail beast bomb, and you've done a lot, but the beast is different from fighting someone that has a controlled space like that kind of monster. The tailless tail beast they call him, having a lot of chakra like a literal tail beast. It's a bad idea to go up against him alone. You people continue to underestimate me," said Naruto. "But one day you're all going to find out." As they got back inside, "What the hell happened to him?" said Naruto, looking at the sleeping Sasuke. Itachi did a real number on him. Naruto turned his gaze as someone was running down the hall. He recognized the person though, but the person ended up kicking Jiraiya away, who seemed to not have taken notice of the man, causing Naruto to shake his head. Might Guy started to apologize. He thought that Jiraiya was the enemy, with his back turned to him. He came to pick up Sasuke as he made his way back, wishing them luck on their journey to find Tsunade Senju. With that, he made his way back. So who the hell were those guys, said Naruto. They're known as the Akatsuki, a team filled with nothing but S-rank criminals. And why did they come after me? It's not you per se that they're after. It's the beast that's inside of you. Hearing that, Naruto smiled. What is funny about what I told you? Well, having the 9 tails ensure that they will come after me again. And in the coming future, when I reach my pinnacle of strength, I'll be able to test myself against multiple S-rank criminals to know how strong I've gotten. You know, most people would be freaked out if they heard anything like this, and yet you seem happy about knowing that you're going to be hunted. What's the point of living if there is no excitement in life, said Naruto. By the way, what is our village stand with the village in the clouds? You mean Kumo? Yes. Why do you want to know that? I like that girl, said Naruto. What? Said Jiraiya, surprised that the kid would confess something like that. She's a real good fighter and she gets me. Because we're basically the same in loving to test our limits. I would love to fight her again. So when you say that you like her, you mean you like fighting her? Why, of course. What else would that mean, said Naruto. I thought you mean you liked her, said Jiraiya. Are you going senile or something, said Naruto. That's what I said. That's not... You know what? Let's not talk about this now, said Jiraiya. Hey! Who is going to pay for that? Jiraiya turned as he saw the building owner. However, Naruto jumped through the hole in the wall, leaving Jiraiya behind with all of that to take care of it. Time skip. After another wasteful day of searching, I'm starting to think that this woman is dead, said Naruto. Oh, trust me, she's not dead. She's just really good at hiding away from her problems. And are we one of her problems? Yep. So how the hell are we gonna find her, said Naruto. Keep in mind that I am the best spy master in the entire world. Tuh. I'm wondering if you're just saying that because that doesn't really mean anything with how lousy you are at doing your job. What? I'm good at doing my job, you brat. You just don't understand what it takes to locate someone. Isn't that her, said Naruto, as the both of them were in a bar, wanting to get something to eat. Jiraiya blinked. Huh. Well, what do you know? See what I mean? I guess that makes me the greatest spy master, seeing that I was the one that found her. That is not how it works, kid, said Jiraiya. Besides, I'm the one that led us here, with the intention to get something to eat. You didn't know that she was here, said Naruto, as they made their way over. Tsunade looked up at the two, seeing the both of them in the middle of an argument, wondering why the hell they were bringing that argument over here. So, you're the old drunk that we're looking for, said Naruto. What? Jiraiya sighed. Moments later, both Naruto and Tsunade were outside, tearing down the entire goddamn place, throwing blows after blows with one another, neither of them backing down. Things started to get a bit hectic when Tsunade started to radiate with so much power, when she plunged her fist into the earth and uprooted everything, when Naruto froze the entire place and allowed spikes to erupt like a shower to impale her, but she shattered them with her brute strength alone. During the process, Naruto seemed to be trying to create a Rasengan, but he was unsuccessful. Yes, he was, causing Tsunade to make him a bet, because their battle was going to lead to the both of them dead or something, as Jiraiya was the one to jump in. Tsunade had criticized Jiraiya, teaching him that, granted, Jiraiya had not taught Naruto anything, and that was not the Rasengan. It might look like it, but it was different. Jiraiya could see that. However, Tsunade presumed given that Jiraiya was there. And it was also blue, but it was just the first phase of something that Naruto was working on. Naruto was rather insulting in his words, calling her a sorry excuse for a kunoichi and a waste of space. As the both of them start to argue with their words, which led to the bet. She gave him 1 week to master the technique. If he failed, he would give her all the money in his wallet and leave her the hell alone, so she could gamble in peace. Naruto did not hesitate to jump on that bet, leaving Jiraiya there as the both of them separated. The Sannin sighed. They hadn't even had the conversation that he wanted to have. Luckily, during the week, Jiraiya was able to meet up with Tsunade. Jiraiya got rather serious when he had found something in the outer skirts of the village. Something that seemed like Orochimaru related. He warned her with even threatening her life. Throughout this all, Jiraiya did not see Naruto. He only saw him at night when he came back to sleep. Whatever Naruto was working on, it was big. As Jiraiya once arrived to Naruto training location, but Naruto was already done. And Naruto had rearranged the goddamn landscape. It became such a problem that the villagers in this village started to worry, given that they did not possess the military support to fight off anyone. Someone was sent out there as a proxy, as they wanted to know what was going on. Luckily, they could rest at peace, knowing that he did not come here to harm any of them. He was simply training. But it was becoming a problem given that the entire goddamn place was shaking. Naruto was being stingy on allowing Jiraiya to see what he was doing, refusing to allow him to see. As Naruto trained for the entire week, whatever he must be working on must be crazy for him to be working this long. Granted, this was nothing to do with his adapting ability. This was a technique. On the last day, when Naruto woke up, he could tell that something was wrong. Someone was in his room lying on the ground, away from his bed. She had came in there to warn him. He did not know that. "Hey, wake up." She jumped up at him, nudging her. "Tsunade-sama," she said. "What the hell is going on?" said Naruto. As Jiraiya was outside, seemingly like he was dying. "Did she poison you?" Jiraiya coughed. "Don't worry. It's not a lethal poison," Shizune said. "It's just something to slow you down." "What the hell is she up to? Is she trying to run away and leave you behind?" said Naruto. Shizune looked nervous. "Spill it, woman," said Naruto. "It's Orochimaru." The moment Naruto heard that name, his engines were on full alert. "What the hell is going on?" he said. "Explain, now." On the outskirts of the village. "Get away," Tsunade said, as she seemed to be in some kind of catatonic, messed up state. Kabuto looked down towards her. To think, one of the greatest and strongest kunoichi in this world is reduced to a puddle of mess like this, with just a few drops of blood. "Enough, Kabuto. We will take her with us," Orochimaru said, "and force her to do as I say." Kabuto nodded, as he was going to knock Tsunade out. She wasn't exactly in a state to prevent him from doing so. However, Orochimaru shouted at him, and that was what saved his life. The blade that Naruto threw tear across his right arm instead of tearing through his chest. He jumped away, immediately trying to heal his arm. However, Kabuto started to squirm in agony and pain. Confusion, as he didn't understand as he looked down toward his arm. A strange purple marking started to spread from the wound. It started to cover his arm as he immediately sliced it off. "You like that?" Naruto said. Him, Jiraiya, and Shizune arriving on the battlefield. Poisonous chakra. It works rather fast as well, running through the chakra pathways, destroying your receivers completely, tearing through the host's body. You sacrifice your arm to stop it, but the next time, You won't be able to sacrifice your neck, said Naruto. Orochimaru grimaced seeing them here. And you there, snake face. I have a bone to pick with you. I made Hiruzen's grave a promise that I was gonna hunt you down and kill you. And this is no better time to do so, said Naruto. You've been a problem in my side since we first met. You bothersome, annoying child. Perhaps you are right. Today is a day for death, and I will be claiming your life before I leave this place. Don't count me out like that, Jiraiya said, stepping up. I won't allow you to kill him. Look, kid, I know you want to kill him, but even with him injured, he's still extremely dangerous. Besides, he does have a little lackey over there, Jiraiya said. I'll stop Orochimaru. He was my sensei after all. Naruto gritted his teeth but conceded to the part of him being his sensei. Fine, but slip up and I'll be the one to kill him. Don't worry, kid. I got this, Jiraiya said, despite the fact that he wasn't 100%. Naruto turned. Is she dying, he asked. No, she's in a catatonic state because of blood. What? Isn't that woman a medic? She is. So how could she be in that state because of blood? No, that's just downright stupid, said Naruto. It's something that she developed a long time ago, with the trauma that she's been through. Tuh. Everyone suffers, said Naruto. She's just being weak right now. But that doesn't matter. Just take care of her, said Naruto. We still need her. Well, I'm not so 100% sure. Even less than before, given this grave weakness that she now seems to possess. But that doesn't matter. I've already taken her arm, and now I'm gonna take your head, said Naruto. Kabuto snarled. You're gonna pay for that, you little brat, he said, activating the chakra scalpel on one of his hands. You should be honored, said Naruto. You will be the first to die by Naruto Uzumaki's new technique, said Naruto as Kabuto dashed towards him to put Naruto down quick and swift. However, the closer Kabuto got, the happier Naruto seemed to become. As his chakra started to surge, he was about to kill the little lackey. But guys, me and subscribe right here. If you want to see next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs on the other channels. Yes, I indeed have 3 more channels that I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. All links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out and enjoy. But I'm off for now, see you guys soon. Peace.